Right, so I'm not gonna keep you long, but what I wanted to do was build our relationship this morning because it's going to be the most important one that we do. The key to your students' success is our partnership. That's the partnership between the faculty members, the teachers, and the administration, and you and I. And you're going to say, where is the student in that? I want to remind you that we are the adults, and we have come into an agreement to say, we're going to help you with their education. They are the most beloved thing in your life, and you have gifted us an opportunity to be a part of that. And that partnership, I don't want anyone to break that partnership. And we come together because both of us have a love for your child, okay? Teenagers are fun creatures. Fun. And we love them despite the fact that they get up grumpy, that they sometimes have hot tempers, and they number one, are trying to figure all of this out, this idea of becoming an adult, and they also have a lot of their very own, very good ideas, but sometimes the adults just have a little bit more experience, right? And what happens at school and what happens at home, I don't know what happens at home, you don't know what happens at school, and you've got this cute little person that's going between both of those places who is trying to survive. And some days he's going to come home and he's going to tell you that this horrible thing happened. Because I remember the teenager that would get into my car. My son had, he was always bad news first, right? How's your day? It's terrible, awful. And I would say, goodness. I'd say, so give me your high, give me your low. And if he gave me his high first, somehow his low he completely forgot about. But if I had to let him just tell me how horrible his day was, we went down this long thing about this kid and that teacher, and I was suddenly in this driver's seat of, how am I going to fix this for you, right? So usually the stories that a teenager comes home with is about 80 to 90% true. And a lot of times it's not that they're lying to you, it's just they're keeping certain pieces of information kind of vague, okay? And they come with whatever happened at your house, and they come to our house, and they do the same thing, okay? So if we together have a partnership that says unequivocally, we love this child, we have the best interest for this child, there, it went. And that no teacher in this building rolled out of their bed in the morning and said, I am going to make Johnny's life miserable today, okay? And you didn't drop off a kid saying, good luck with this little person that is not happy with me right now, okay? So we have the best intentions together. So what my hope is that when your child comes home and tells you something that at first glance you're like, that is horrible, that you say to yourself, I'm sure there's another side to this story, or there's pieces of information I might be missing. And what I hope you will do is work with your child to figure out how they're going to solve that. Because part of their progress right now is learning to become an adult, which means learning to solve their own problems, right? There's going to be times where you're going to have to definitely pick up a phone right away and call somebody down here and find out what's going on. But I hope your first inkling is, gosh, that sounds really terrible. What do you want to do about that? Putting it back on them, and then you're going to brainstorm how you're going to work with that. The first thing would be, gosh, did you talk to a teacher about that? Did you talk to the teacher about that? No, she won't listen to me. She hates me, okay? So what are we going to do with that piece of information? Wow, that sounds really awful. What makes you think so? Ask a lot of questions. See if you can't help get to the bottom, because usually what will come out is, well, I raise my hand a lot, and she doesn't always call on me. Does she call on you sometimes? Yeah, she does. Okay, I don't think she hates you. I think that she's just got to call on some other people. So see if you can't get to the bottom of it. The next thing is if you feel as if there has been an injustice, whether it was between two students, your student and another, or a teacher and your student, I want you to make a plan for them to go to school the next day and seek adult help. Whether it's the teacher that it happened with, it is the dean of students to solve a problem, and then if you aren't sure that they may do it, send an email to that adult. And I'm going to give a slide where you're going to have a QR code where you can mark the page on the website that has all the teachers' emails. And you're going to say, Johnny came home and told me this story. I'd love to know what's actually going on, but I've told him to do blank. I want to know if he comes and talks to you. Because what I want us to do together is trust each other, okay? As much as I always wanted to trust my teenagers, you can't 100% trust a teenager. They're not fully formed adult, okay? And they are looking to survive. Have 100% compassion for that. Now that both of my children are grown and married, I have heard the truth about all those stories that they told me absolutely sure was the right truth. Well, actually, we didn't tell you, but this is what really happened, okay? So that's with all teenagers, and you remember that, right? And as much as we want to be the savior of the world for our children, part of what they're going to do here is learn how to be their own advocate, okay? We, as the administrative team and these teachers, are here to support you in launching a well-formed adult. We actually don't see them as teenagers, we see them as apprentice adults. They are in this little path towards adulthood. They aren't kiddos. They aren't goats. They aren't the babies of goats. They aren't kids. They are in the act of becoming adults. And so we want to give what we have to offer, and you have what you have to offer, and we never want to get in the way of your ultimate goal. We also want to make sure today that we are aligned in the ultimate goal. Because if you hear something today that goes, that doesn't sound like my family, please have a conversation with me before you leave, because this partnership's going to be tight, okay? And if we aren't on the same page, we won't be working together. So here's what my teachers promise to do for you and your student. They're going to create for your student a safe and welcoming classroom. And when I mean safe, there's no such thing as a safe space on this campus because the entire place is safe, because we promise to make it consistent and ordered. In other words, the students should be able to predict what happens on most days in most classrooms at most times of the day. There's going to be a lot of predictability, and when schedules will change, we'll let them know what the schedule is going to look like before that day, or first thing in the morning during first period. They're going to get a syllabus. So all next week, on Tuesday, they should, on the first day, get a syllabus from every single teacher. They're supposed to have to bring it home, read it with you, and have you sign it. Please do me a favor, and don't just have them tear off the back page and sign a bunch of pieces of paper and not look at them. A lot of them will be very similar. We have a lot of very similar guidelines on the way the classes grade and those kinds of things, but there will be some nuances you're going to want to make sure that you know. Like, if your child is in music first semester, there is a concert at the end of the semester, and he will put the date in there, and you're going to want to note that because they need to be at that as a part of their final grade. And if you didn't see that at the very beginning and you make some sort of plans on that day, you're going to be really upset with us, okay? Engaging lessons. So I want them to focus on making sure that their lessons aren't just factual, but they're engaging. Manageable and intentional homework. Yes, your students will get homework. And if the homework is new to you, because you're coming from a school that didn't give homework, that's going to be something you're going to have to get used to. But our goal is to never send busy work home. And if you feel as if the things that you're looking at that your kid is doing is busy work, just send an email to the teacher and say, I'm just curious, what's the purpose of last night's homework? They should be able to tell you. Timely grading and feedback. They should be giving papers back to your student with grades on them. And tests shouldn't take longer than a week to grade. So you can cyclically know, like last week on Tuesday they had a math test. Hey, did you get your test back yet? You should be looking and asking for those things. If you don't, email the teacher. Hey, has the math test been graded? I haven't seen a grade. Bi-weekly grade printouts. At this school, because the grade book is not online for everybody to open and look at every 2 weeks. And I think this first quarter, because we have a lot of funky dates, there's only 2. But we'll put a sign out in Carline that says, check your student's grade printout today. They will come home with a grade printout from every single class that lists all the assignments, what they got, what their overall grade is at that time. And that's separate from a progress report. Midway through the quarter, you will get an email that says you can check your student's progress report. It has all of the grades for the midterm or the midway through the quarter and comments from the teacher, okay? So there's feedback. If you're not feeling you're getting that feedback, or your kid doesn't come home, your student doesn't come home with the grade printout, send an email to the teacher and ask. Tutoring. We offer tutoring twice a week for every single class that is offered here during morning break. So the students will see a little sign on the door of the teacher's room that says tutoring Tuesdays and Thursdays. That means during morning break, which is free time, and for 6th graders, they're going to have to learn, what do I do with my free time? They can go outside, out here in the courtyard, and play with friends. They can sit and talk and have a snack. Or if they need to, they should be in tutoring, okay? Math teachers do tutoring Monday through Thursday. The only day they don't is on Friday, because early release Fridays we don't have morning break. So every day is math tutoring. Every other class, twice a week. So if your student is struggling, you tell them to go tutoring. And if you're not sure that they're going to go, you send the teacher an email and say, I expect to see them in tutoring today. Please let me know if they don't come. Okay? Every question that you have and your student has is important to us. Because if you, as an adult, learn to ask appropriate questions, you're never going to be in the dark. We want to build relationships with you and your student. So one of the things that happens that if you send an email to the teacher, you're really upset about something that happened that your student told you, and you just lash out at that teacher, now the student feels as if it's you and the student against the teacher. And we don't want to change that role. And I want to make sure that the teacher has the opportunity to go to the student and say, gosh, I got this email from your mom, and it says that yesterday in class, somebody poked with you with a pencil and I didn't know anything about it. How come you didn't tell me? And maybe there's a reason that the student didn't tell, and the teacher can fix something about that relationship. So give the teacher the opportunity to continue to build a relationship with your student and continue to keep the lines of communication open with the parent, with your teacher. They will contact you about behavior concerns. You will find that we have a thing called Student Conductor. It sends emails every single time your student interacts with something like their uniform is not correctly done. They will get an infraction. You'll get a little email. It says your student received an infraction. Infractions build over time, and then they become a detention. So the students will come home with a student handbook, and it completely explains how many infractions equal in detention, and what happens when I don't have my homework and all that sort of thing. Student Conductor is a automated notification to you. You can turn that into a text. So if you want to, you can opt into having it texted to you instead of emailed if you don't see emails as often. The teacher, if it's a serious behavior issue, like the student had to be sent out of class because they were so disruptive after several conversations, they will also send you an email. It'll probably say your student was sent to the W, and you'll find out what that means, that funny little word letter, the W, and what happened. The automated email won't give you much information. The parent does. I'm sorry, the teacher does. And if you don't get that, say, hey, why did my student get sent out of class today? So the administration, we've got our Dean of Students, Mr. McKee, and he takes care of behavior concerns. And this doesn't just mean bad behavior concerns. It's just anything that the student is struggling with. The space in which he occupies, what we call the W, is a space for helping students with all kinds of concerns. My locker doesn't open. I left my lunch at home today, can I call my mom? All of those kinds of things. And also if during class they can't seem to sit still and behave and they're disrupting the class, they will finish the period in the W, and Mr. McKee will have a conversation with them. He takes care of lockers, detentions, and anything to do with student community issues such as bullying. We have very little bullying on campus, but mean girls and mean boys are just as bad as bullying in my mind. They all need to be dealt with, and we will handle those. So please, if your student has been telling you over time about some sort of issue, you gave them a plan and it's not working, please let Mr. McKee know, because he can support your student in many, many different ways and partner with you on maybe some things that you know that we don't know. Our Dean of Academics, Mr. Taha, he takes care of intervention, testing, and student growth if you're concerned about your student's success. And you have been working with the teacher and you're still concerned, he can help you as well. He takes care of promotion, attendance, and credit recovery. They can be reached. I always ask that if your issue is first with the teacher, please go to the teacher first. If you don't get solutions you're looking for from the teacher, then please reach out to an administrator. You met this morning Mr. Womack and Mrs. Glow, and they take care of curriculum, faculty development. They're also our 504 coordinators. So if you have a middle school student who's on a 504, the assistant headmaster takes that seriously and handles those. Here's the QR code that you want to take a picture of. It links directly to our faculty contact page on the website. So if you're looking for an email of a teacher that your student has a last name, something more than one con, is it a Mr. or Mrs.? And so make sure that you look there. These are some of our faculty support. We've got a SPED coordinator, an ELL coordinator, our college counselor, Ms. Samari, athletic director, and Coach Drolbeck is over here. So if you have any questions about athletics when you're leaving, you can talk to him. We have a nurse, Mrs. Cleveland. We have a dean of high school men, Mr. Kahn. He takes care of relationship issues with high school because most of our high schoolers don't get into trouble. Their trouble is more, I'm struggling with my workload, I am struggling with a friend. And then Mrs. Glow takes care of the ladies, and then our registrar. So I like to think of the fact that coming to Great Hearts Western Hills and learning how to become adult is kind of like the game. And you can enjoy the game or you can hate the game. But it's all about how your student attacks or plays the game. And you are their cheerleader. You are their cheerleader. You're not their rescuer. You're their cheerleader, okay? And so you're going to want to help them decide what to do with the time that's given them in the years that they're going to be here. Your student's role, make sure they have all their materials. If they forget their materials at home, don't bring them. Let them suffer and figure out. They're going to probably get a materials infraction. And you know what? They won't forget them again. But if you bring them, they're going to go, oh, got to call mom. And eventually they don't learn the importance of making sure that they pack their bag the night before and make sure that their things are ready to go when they need to leave. So please let them suffer, because the first time that they don't have their materials, it's an infraction. It's not a detention. So they have the opportunity to learn. Be prepared for class with homework complete. Be on time to class. So tardies are our biggest amount of infractions. And it's a completely separate category. So it takes, I think, 5 infractions, tardy infractions, to get a detention, because we know in the beginning, especially with 6th graders, that it's a little difficult. They think going to their locker is like going to their apartment. And they got to visit it every single time, whether they need anything or not, and they got to talk to all their friends, and then all of a sudden the minute bell rings, and they got to go to the bathroom. There is plenty of time to do all those things, not if you go to your locker and visit with your friends for a long period of time. So they've got to learn that, though, okay? Let them take their lumps. Let them take the infraction. They need to pay attention. They need to be curious. They need to ask questions when they have help, because our teachers aren't mind readers. They can start to see signs as things get turned in and they're seeing that the student doesn't understand. But in the moment, they don't know unless your student speaks up. So help your student be an advocate. They need to be organized. Our 6th grade teachers spend a lot of first quarter organizing and reorganizing 6th graders. That's why they have a case it. And if you thought, nah, I don't really need a case it, they need to case it, because everything they do and everything their teacher says, your student will eventually come home and go, Mom, you got to get me this case it thing because they keep bothering me about it. It is a fabulous way to keep your student organized, and they're less likely to forget materials for class because most everything fits in the case it. Okay? Make sure that they go to tutoring, they take personal responsibility, and they self-advocate. Yeah, I know. I should have told my mom 2 nights ago that I needed a poster board for that thing I was due today. Not mom's fault, it's my fault. I know, I should have told her. They need to respect classroom rules and the students that are in that class, and most importantly, they need to participate in everything and have house pride, especially on Fridays during our house games. Here's some of the things your student will do during a school day. So they have what morning break is, what lyceum is, and after school. So when your student goes, oh, I can do that at morning break, and you're like, what's that? You have an idea of what that is, and you want to be able to talk with authority with your teenager because they like to think you don't know anything. Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about, Mom. It's during morning break. Oh, no, I know. Mrs. Keffer and I have had a conversation. What happens during lyceum? So it is homework completion time. And students, a lot of students who really focus and use that time come home with a lot less homework than students who spent that time fiddling, okay? So tell your student, oh, no, show me what you got done in lyceum today. They should be able to show you what they got done. All right, so there is homework. Here's what I want you to know about homework. If you check their agenda every night, your student should have an agenda. Every beginning of every period, the teacher will direct students to put the homework assignment down in their agenda. They have a spot on their board that says agenda. They write it in. So the student is simply copying. There isn't going to be this speaking into the air, and if you didn't hear it, you don't know what's for homework. It's written on the board. So your student copies that down. You, when you come home with your student, or they come home to you, you say, hey, show me your agenda. And they go, oh, it's all done. Show me. Show me the work you got done. Show me that it's finished. And some kids are really, really good because at the end of every period, a lot of time teachers have about 3 or 4, maybe 5 minutes left, and they tell them to get started on their homework. Students who do that and then use lyceum oftentimes will come home and say their homework is done. So just ask to see it. Tell them to go to tutoring if they don't understand something. So you're doing homework with them. They open their math book. They say, I don't understand what's going on. Ask them where their notes are. Every single class they take has a spiral notebook. Every single teacher directs students on how to take notes for that class. Every time they have homework, they've got notes that support it. Where are your notes? Oh, I didn't bring it home. That's a problem. When during the day tomorrow are you going to be able to have time to do that and find your notes? Are you going to go to tutoring? Ask those questions, okay? They need to bring their spiral notebooks home, especially for the things that they have homework in. They need to use those notes for homework, and a lot of times they will have started flashcards in class, and they'll need to finish them for homework. And flashcards aren't just accoutrements that they make because they look cute. They're supposed to be studied. And so if you know they've got history flashcards, and they say they didn't have any homework, say, hey, well, get out your history flashcards, let me quiz you. Okay, you can support them in that way. Your major job is to make sure that you say, it is time to do homework, especially if you have a 6th grader. It's time to do homework, and here's your space. And do not let them have a cell phone next to them while they're doing homework. Well, they use it to look up words they don't know. We had them all buy a little tiny dictionary. Very rarely will they need to look up a word that they don't know. They will be, though. Every time it bings or something comes up on the screen, they're going to need to look at it, and they are not going to be focused. Okay? So they shouldn't have a TV on. They shouldn't have a cell phone next to them. They shouldn't have a laptop open. They shouldn't have an iPad next to them. All those things. Xbox in behind them that is flashing because as soon as they're done, they get to play. They need to be distraction-free. They're distraction-free here, okay? The other thing I want you to know is that homework for us is batting practice or preparation. You do not need to give them answers. Do not tell them to get on ChatGPT and find the answer to that math problem that seems so hard. Because that just gives them false hope. They come home, they turn that in, they check them together with the teacher in class, and the teacher goes, oh, looks like Johnny understands it. And then they take a test, and they bomb it. Okay? So if you can't help them work through the problem, they don't have notes, tell them to go to tutoring. Math tutoring is every day. Okay? I'm going to tell you another one. Don't let your student take their phone to bed. It is not a sleeping mate. We have a lot of students who come who cannot keep their eyeballs open in class, and what they tell us is, I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning. And what happened is that about 10 o'clock, when you sent them to bed, they started scrolling under the sheets, and they lost all track of time because they don't have the ability to create that boundary. That's our job to make that boundary for them. If you are smart, you will have a family hub where all the phones are charging in the kitchen, and there's no access to them till the morning. I need it for an alarm clock. Alarm clocks are really cheap on Amazon. Get them an old-fashioned alarm clock, okay? If they take their phone to bed, their iPad to bed, or their Xbox is enabled in their bedroom, and you don't have the ability to shut the Wi-Fi off at night, your student will play at night. My son did. He swore to me that he was not. He's 23 now. He told me the truth. And he has told me about all of the HL books that he's now got to reread because he skimmed them and didn't really read them. And he married a Great Hearts graduate, and sometimes the conversations aren't so great because she read them and he hadn't finished them. Be their cheerleader. Stand next to them. Oh man, I'm so sorry that it's 9 o'clock and time to go to bed and you didn't study for your Latin test. You could get up early. You could do your flashcards on the way to school. No, it's time for bed. I've decided it's time for bed. You've got to remember these things. You can't do this at bedtime. The best way to get out of bedtime is to remind your parents what you still haven't finished for homework. Okay? Don't let them get away with that. There's a thing for middle school called homework detention. If your student doesn't have a homework assignment for any one of those 6 periods or all of them, they will get it's not an infraction, they will get scanned for homework detention. You will probably get an email saying your student was assigned homework detention for that day. That means from 3:30 to, I think it's 3:30 to this year till 3:50 or 3:55, they will be in a dedicated room that somebody will say, get out those things that you didn't finish, and they'll turn them in that classroom, and that teacher that runs that room will make sure it gets to that teacher. They will lose less points and probably avoid a 0 by getting it done before the end of the school day than if they turn it in the next day, because most students don't turn it in the next day. And then they're now behind in the curriculum because they didn't get the batting practice at that assignment, okay? So homework detention is a gift, okay? We actually call it homework recovery. It's not to be confused with homework club, which is the thing you pay for after school. It's like Athenaeum, okay? It is our gift to you. So if you get that email and your wave is the blue wave and you normally come at 3:30, come at 4 o'clock. Your student will be waiting for you on the porch. Here's our grading categories. All the grading categories are exactly the same. So you'll have a grading category that's 30% that is tests, essays, and major projects. Then there'll be minor assessments. It is also 30%. Quizzes, classwork, practice, things that are done at school that can't get any help from anybody else. And then sense of wonder and depth of inquiry score is 25%. And this year, all the teachers will be using rubrics that will be handed to the students at least once a week that says, here's how you participated, here's your sense of wonder, depth of inquiry score for this week, and the student will be asked to rate themselves as well. And then daily work grades are 15%. Those are things and activities that they may do at home or start in class and finish at home. So our academy culture is based on those things that are lasting, worthy, and true. And you will find that there are a lot of things that we don't do that a big public school does, and we don't apologize for it. We do some pretty great things, and they're very, very focused and very, very intentional. So we do have a house system, and every student will be chosen into a house, and once your child is chosen, you are now automatically a member of that house. And if you should be so unfortunate to be a family that is house divided because you've got more than one student and they're not in the same house, so much fun. You might even find a PSO member who'll make you a house divided t-shirt. So it's a whole lot of fun. This is a way that we build friendship, camaraderie, competition, and excellence. We have 2 realms. We've got the houses of Middle Earth from The Hobbit and the houses of Narnia from the Narnia series, all books that the students read here. They are family names, very specifically. We've got the House of Baggins, which are hobbits. We have the House of Dwarves, which is Oakenshield, the House of Kings and Queens, which is the Pevensey children, two boys and two girls, who were royalty in Narnia, and then the House of Talking Mice, which is Reepicheep, and you will hear so much about it, you might make you sick. So, kind of how it works. We have, I am the head of houses, and then we have a governor and a lieutenant governor. We have a student-led council that makes a lot of decisions and plans a lot of events. We've got the house mentors. You saw them here this morning. And then we have all of the teachers or faculty consuls who are in the houses. And then middle school has the opportunity to select delegates who then help support what the house council is doing. And then we've got all the house members and house parents. And if you would like to know more about being a house parent, I know that we've got a couple PSO families here today that could help you find out. We are actually actively recruiting parents because there's tons of ways for you to support as a house parent. We are not doing the induction ceremony on the first day of school. We are going to campaign all week long and get the students that are new excited about the house they're being chosen into. If they were a fifth grader in lower school, they will continue in the same house. If they need new patches, they do need to purchase those because you did receive 5 new ones at the beginning of last year. So the students are expected to build up their house. All of their positive behavior is house points, literally house points. There is a house chat for teachers that every time a student does something amazing, there is a shout out to a student and points are assigned and it goes into the tank of points for their house. And so students don't always know when they've just accrued house points, but we keep track of the house with the most on-time record, most best attendance to school, all those kinds of things, and it goes towards the ultimate winning of the house cup at the house banquet at the end of the year. So one of the things a lot of parents want to know is what happens if my student makes a bad choice and ends up in that place called the W. So the W stands for the woods between the worlds, and it is a place in The Magician's Nephew that the 6th graders read. It's a Narnia book, and it's about the creation of the world. And in the forming of the creation of the world, the children that put on rings and jump into a pool, one of the places that they go to is the woods between the worlds. It's a place where from there's hundreds of pools, and they can choose by jumping into that pool to go to this world or that world. And so we liked the euphemism that by coming to the W, even if you didn't choose to go there, you kind of choose how you leave there by how you respond with your attitude, how you ask for help, and how you respond to a conversation with the dean while you're there. So this is a place where you could come, and he's involved in keeping track of infractions. He also takes care of detentions, but it really is a space in which anything, if your student is having a meltdown because of something that happened during morning break and the teacher can't seem to figure out what's going on, they might send them there just to pull themselves together and have a conversation with the dean. They're not in trouble, okay? So what we don't want them to do is to fear the W. It is not a place of fear. Here are a few of the house events that we have during the year. These happen during the school day, except for Winter House Festival and Circus Maximus. If you are a new student, all of your students will be at Circus Maximus, where we make fabulous little chariots and race them around the gym. It is a whole lot of fun, and there is a parent event connected to that, so look for information on that. And then here's a lot of the events that we do outside of school that are connected to the traditions and rituals of the school and the curriculum. If you're interested in fall sports and you did not get any of the emails and your student didn't know that they could try out, high school girls volleyball is the only one that has completed their tryouts. And if you still had a high schooler and you didn't know anything about it, Coach Drolbeck is over there and you can talk to them. Here are the tryouts that are happening next week for middle school and high school flag football and for middle school volleyball. If your student is interested in cross country, he can also talk to you about that. All right, so Carline, I see Carline, this is your tuition. If you come and you sit in Carline, what you do by sitting there is your payment for your child's education. I understand. It is not the best thing in the world. But good news, a lot of people signed up to be walkers this year. About half of our student population has signed up to be a walker. It might actually be faster to go through Carline this year. Yeah. So that's great. So if you've not picked a wave time, you do not know what I'm talking about by a wave time, please make sure that you stop and talk with Mrs. Blow in the corner over there, because Mr. Grover is busy. But you want to make sure that you've picked a wave time and gotten a placard. And if you have a student in lower school, you do need to know that you pick them up separately. Our car lines do not connect. And the headache of bringing the right or the wrong student over from lower school to put in your car was more work than we could do correctly. So it is 2 lines. But if you come to ours first, I promise you, lower school is easy because we're fast. Okay, our car line's fast. If you have a student driver, you'd like to talk about getting a student parking space, very limited parking spaces, talk to Mrs. Blow. She can help you with that. So, being ready for the first day on August 11th. If you don't have a PE uniform and you know for sure your student has PE first semester, you're going to want to make sure that you get one. You can purchase one today before you leave. We can work that out because we have PE uniforms here. You can buy them also at the uniform vendors. Theirs look a little different. Theirs should just say Great Hearts on them. Ours say Great Hearts Western Hills. They both work. They're both fine. If you do not have the classics to keep and the supplies, we also have a swag shop that has all of those things. Your student could purchase them the first day of school if they either bring cash with them or you order them online. You can go to our website, go to Configio, and there are all the swag shop items are there. You could purchase all of them, check out, print the receipt, hand it to your student, and they can go to the swag shop, excuse me, and collect those things. Make sure that the backpacks, lanyards, lunch boxes are all pop culture free. And that includes lots of dangly things that they could put on there. Anime, stuffy things clipped on there. We don't want any of those things on there. I don't know how some of them walk around because some of them are so heavy. They got hand sanitizer on there. They got all kinds of things. So discourage them from adding things to their lanyard. They will get them on Monday because I know new students haven't had their picture taken yet. They will get a temporary one on Monday that has a barcode, for both a lunch line and for our student conductor. Your student will come home with a student, they may not. We're gonna ask the students to leave their student handbook in their lockers today because we're gonna use them all next week. All next week is boot camp. So at the beginning of every single period, the teachers are gonna be going through the handbook again with all the returning students. So by next Friday, your students should know everything they should need to know to be successful, every little nuance, okay? Make sure that you ask to see those classroom syllabi and see what the teacher is asking them before you sign them, okay? All right, questions. If there's a question that you have that is very specific, you want to talk to me afterwards, great. I'll stand up here and answer those. If there's something you could want to ask that's good for the good of the whole, let's do that right now.
If you need more patches, can you get them at the swag shop?
Yes, you can get them at the swag shop. If there was somebody that wanted things from the swag shop, Mrs. Glow, could we do that right afterwards? Yes, she's saying yes. So if you want to buy something from the swag shop, she will be able to take everybody over there to do that. Other questions, go to the whole. Yes? You can drop off in either parking lot. So pickup, you have to pick up in separate parking lots, but you can drop off both children here or both children there. If you send your upper school one has to walk across, or your lower school one walks across, either one. Yep. Anybody else? Yes. Patch party. It was in the. Yes, August 15th. So it's Saturday, August 15th. No. So they've got a whole week to get the patch. It's an iron-on patch, and when you iron it on, it goes on the left sleeve. I would suggest you also stitch it because the iron-on, after it goes through the wash sometimes, starts to peel off on the edges. So give it a little bit of a stitch around the outside. But if you are new to all this, come to the patch party on Saturday, meet some PSO people. They'll iron your patches on for you and give you all of the inside information on how to keep the uniforms looking nice. Okay? Yes?
Will the slides be available online?
They want to know if we can make the slides available online. Yeah. He is actually recording it right now.
And the slides are
and the slides are on it. So we'll send. What I'll have them do is notify everybody that it's up and give you the link. But then it'll be on the website. Yeah. Yes.
I'm new to this. What does the patch go on? The shirt?
Yes, it goes on. It goes on the polo.
The polo that they wear every day?
Yes. So you'll get 5 patches because we assume a lot of people buy 5 shirts, and so they put it on it gets ironed on the left sleeve, and then if you have a sweater or a fleece, it goes underneath the logo, the Great Hearts logo on the fleece, because we say that every student must be showing house colors at all times. So if they put the fleece over the polo, then we can't see their house colors. So if you need extra patches, I think they're $3 or $2. So after the 5 that we give your student, if you need more, you can order them through the swag shop. Yeah.
So when it's cold and stuff, do y'all have certain coats and jackets that they have to wear, or are they allowed to wear their own from home as well?
So when it gets cold, and I'll tell you, it is cold in the building, even in the middle of this hot summer, it's really cold. They have to wear uniform items in the building. Once they go outside, like morning break, they can put on an outside jacket on top of that, take it off, put it in the locker. So we're not really, the jacket can have a Nike swoosh on it. It can have a college something on it. We just ask for no pop culture. No pop culture on the jacket. So no anime jackets and things like that. And yet, yes.
Can you tell us what happens on House Friday? What does that mean?
So House Fridays, during the last 30 minutes of the school day, which is the Lyceum on Friday, even if they had homework, nobody's in a mind to do homework. So we do house games. It's basically like a mini athletic field day on Friday, and we have games set up all over campus, and one house plays against another house. So like 7th grade Reepicheep against 7th grade Baggins are going to play dodgeball in the gym on this side of the gym. So we have games going on all over the place, and they do that for that last half an hour. If you are one of those people that think you're going to always pick up your kid early on Friday, your kid will not be happy with you because they will always miss those house games, okay? It's also on every Friday is House Friday. They may wear their house t-shirt instead of their uniform top, okay? That means they have to have a nice t-shirt in working order. If you're a 5th grader, had one from last year, and everybody signed it at the end of the year, they can't wear that. Okay, so it has to be a nice, clean, and we've got tons of those in the swag shop if you would like to purchase them. If they don't have one, they just wear the regular uniform top. And a lot of kids choose to, but most of them do. It makes it really easy for us to see, oh, 7th grade Baggins is over there, and those green people over there, that's all of them over there. Anybody else? Yes?
Are those every Friday?
Yes.
Okay. They can wear their shirt every Friday.
They can wear their shirt every Friday. On the last Friday of the month, I know that lower school and the whole school has always done it. It's anything Great Hearts Western Hills, and we will allow on the last Friday of the month. If you don't wear a house shirt, you want to wear your Great Hearts Western Hills soccer Spartan shirt, that's fine. On the last Friday of the month, yeah. Well, that's as good as any. We are done. I'm up here if you have questions. If you want to ask any questions about Carline or Swag Shop, Mrs. Glow is over there. Thank you so much for coming. We are looking forward to partnering with you.
I don't know if I'm eligible for that $100 voucher.
Oh, I would follow Mrs. Glow over to the building and go and talk to Mrs. Our registrar. She'll be able to tell you. She'll be able to connect with our teacher.